FedEx Field in the Steel City. This is the National Football League on CBS, where today it's the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And here comes Hines Ward. Today's game is brought to you in high definition by Sony. High definition, it's in Sony's DNA. Browns Steelers next on CBS. And welcome back to Pittsburgh. 48 degrees, late December, sunny, windy day as the Steelers prepare to take on the Cleveland Browns. And the series note, this is the 112th meeting between these two teams. Pittsburgh leads the series 56-55. The Steelers have won 10 straight meetings and 16 of the last 17, including the last meeting this year, week 2, 10-6. So Romeo Crennel could be his final game as the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. According to reports, he may be asked to step down as early as tomorrow. His team coming off a 14-0 loss to the Cincinnati Bengals last week. On the other sideline, 36 years old, but I tell you what, Mike Tomlin, back-to-back division titles, first coach to do it in Pittsburgh Steelers history, but his team is coming off a 31-14 loss last week at Tennessee, a game in which they stomped on the terrible towel in Nashville. And some people around here, Steve, are really hot about that, and that may have prompted Mike Tomlin and the Steelers to play all their guys and get them ready for the playoffs.
Well, it's smart to get your guys sharp and keep them sharp for the playoffs. You've seen other teams wrap things up early, as in the Indianapolis Colts a few years ago had 3 games that didn't mean anything. It's tough to go into the playoffs without being sharp.
So Cleveland won the toss, but Pittsburgh will receive. This is Gary Russell bringing it out of the end zone. And Russell trying to turn the corner, and does. Crosses the 20 and gets it up to the 24-yard line before being stopped. Joshua Cribbs chases him out of bounds. That's a 25-yard return. So that brings on Big Ben Roethlisberger. 26-40 last week, 331. 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. He was sacked 5 times. Now, this Pittsburgh offensive line has given up a number of sacks, 49 total this season. Roethlisberger has been sacked 46 times. First down and 10. Ball at the 22-yard line. Willie Parker lines up as a single setback. And here's Willie over the right side, tries to break it back, and he goes down. Cameron Wembley with the tackle. That's a 2-yard gain. So offensively for the Steelers, they rank 23rd overall in the NFL, 16th in passing, 24th in rushing. Left guard Kim Oyatu having a very solid season this year. The backs and receivers and some very notable names. Hines Ward needs 27 yards for 1,000 at 75 catches on the year. Second down and 8. From the 24. And they fire to Ward. And Hines Ward looking, and he crosses the 30. Gets up to the 33-yard line before being stopped. McDonald with the tackle, a gain of 7. Defensively for Cleveland, they've struggled this season, ranked 26th overall in the NFL. Shawn Rodgers, in his first year coming from Detroit, 4.5 sacks with Smith and Williams. They're also a 3-4 team as well. Well, Jackson, 3 interceptions, is their top tackler on the year, and he is a improving linebacker in his 3rd year out of Maryland. And in the secondary, Jones and Poole are the safeties, with Wright and McDonald at the cornerback positions. Brings up 3rd down and 1. Ball at the 31. McHugh and Russell in the backfield. Out of the eye, and this one is Russell. Second man through, and he picks up a first down. As he drags Browns all the way to the 39. Sean Jones gets him, but it's a gain of 7.
You spoke earlier, Gus, about Ben Roethlisberger. He's been sacked a lot this year, and he's been nicked up because of it. Had some shoulder problems. He said he got his shoulder tweaked last week, he told us, but he says it's to the point now where it recovers a lot quicker. So he's getting on top of his injuries and feeling better as the playoffs come. But you talk about the sacks, Gus, a little bit of that's his fault. He likes to hold on to the football to try and make a play late, and sometimes it comes back to bite him in sacks.
First down and 10 at the 39. And the handoff, Willie Parker. Parker hopping through the hole. crossing the 40. Parker comes into this game with 86 carries for 673 yards. He's averaging 3.6 yards per carry.
Yeah, and he's been bothered by injuries this year, particularly in the last month. He's just started to get back into the lineup. Hasn't really played that well in the last 3 weeks, but has been on the field, and he's getting better. And I think Mike Tomlin would love to see him break a nice-sized run to make sure that he still has that home run hitting ability that he's known for when he's healthy.
2nd down and 6 at the 43, opening drive for the Steelers. Roethlisberger straight drop underneath Hines Ward, and he gets to midfield. They're going to get Hines Ward his 1,000 yards in this game, probably in the first quarter.
You talk about Hines Ward and being a Steeler and all the great rich tradition that are the Pittsburgh Steelers. Hines Ward has been a better receiver statistically than John Stallworth and Lynn Swann. I mean, this guy has had a sensational career.
He needs 13 yards for 1,000, 1st down and 10 at the 49-yard line. And Willie Parker, he stood up and taken backwards. This time it's DeQuell Jackson. No gain on the play. You know, Willie Parker has struggled the past 3 weeks. Parker has a total of 103 yards over those 3 games. He's averaged only 2.3 yards per carry, and Parker only has 2 carries of 10 yards or longer. So Willie Parker trying to find a rhythm as the Steelers will have a first-round bye, then head into the playoffs.
You know, you talk about it. That's not what the Steelers need to advance into the playoffs.
2nd down and 10 at the 49. Parker again turns the corner, spins, and goes down at the line of scrimmage. A flag on the play. Sean Smith, first man to him. It's like a holding coming up.
Holding. Number 83 of the offense. 10-yard penalty, 2nd out.
Jeff Triplett, your referee today. Heath Miller called for the hold, and they will march it back 10 yards.
And you talk about the Steelers and headed into the playoffs with a bye, and getting beat by Tennessee last week to lose the home field advantage throughout the playoffs. This is a good football team, Gus, but a lot of people think or question the quality of their offense as being good enough to maybe take them to the Super Bowl and win it. That's the question mark for this team, because they've got the defense to win.
The Steelers have not scored a first-quarter touchdown since November 9th versus Indianapolis, a span of 7 games. 2nd down and 20 at the 41. Roethlisberger sets up a screen. Incomplete, and Pittsburgh will punt it away.
Now, that was the 2nd down because of the penalty right there, but Ben Roethlisberger throwing that away right into the feet of the pass rush. And that, you know, you can tell, you get a feeling here, Gus, and we spoke about it in the open about playing it close to the vest. You know, the Steelers, you know, they want to get out of this game with a win. They want to beat the Cleveland Browns, but they also want to get out completely healthy, and they'd like to give Ben Roethlisberger a little bit of rest.
3rd down and 20 at the 41. They need to go just inside Cleveland territory for 1st down. Well, Dan Moore has checked in. Roethlisberger checks it down, fires, and he may have gotten that 1st down. Very good running, but it's only a 10-yard gain on 3rd down and 20 as Corey Williams tracks him down, and now the Steelers will have to punt it away.
Yeah, and you get the feeling that the Steelers really didn't want to try and throw that ball down the field, air it out. The thing that gets them into trouble more than anything, Gus, is turnovers. If they play it close to the vest, that defense makes them hard to beat no matter what the score is.
So the Steelers chew up 5 minutes and end up with nothing. Joshua Cribbs is back deep, and this one sails into the end zone for a touchback. Mitch Berger punting it away, a 49-yard punt at the 29-yard return. So coming up, quarterback number 4 for the Cleveland Browns. And welcome back as the Browns take over for the first time. Bruce Gradkowski getting an opportunity to return home. 1st down and 10 at the 20. And they hand it off to Jamal Lewis, 2nd man through, and Lewis going down. James Farrier with the tackle. So Bruce Gradkowski is from Pittsburgh. Local boy coming home. He played his college football in Ohio, a Toledo Rocket. And now he has an opportunity to lead this Cleveland Browns team. He was signed as a free agent on December 2nd. had a career with Tampa Bay, 3-8 as a starting quarterback there. So here's the flash formation. And they give it to Harrison. And Harrison goes nowhere. Pittsburgh ready as James Ferrier comes up and makes a tackle. Let's take a look at the Cleveland offense. Joe Thomas, second year out of Wisconsin, heading to the Pro Bowl. And this offense ranked 31st in the NFL, 30th in passing, 25th in rushing on the season. The backs and receivers, Jamal Lewis comes into this game with 256 yards, 908 carries, so he needs a solid day to go over the 1,000-yard mark. Third down and 7 at the 23. Gronkowski, play fake, underneath. This ball is caught, and it's Stallworth. And Stallworth still on his feet. No whistle, and he goes down at midfield. And there's an injured Steeler at the 32. Dante Stallworth with his 17th catch. That's a gain of 27.
I guess when they flipped him end over end, he didn't land on an elbow or anything else. We'll see right here if he does. It looked like he was down. Yeah, he's down. When his elbow reaches, now his feet didn't reach, cut, but watch. If his elbow or anything but his feet or his hands hit the ground, he's down. Now that's down right there. You can't miss it. When his, yeah, he hit down, and it was a nice try by him to sell it. And Mike Tomlin will throw that flag down. He's going to win this challenge. Nice try by Stallworth, but it's not going to work.
Pittsburgh is challenging the ruling on the field of the runner knocked down by contact.
All right, 11 to play in the first quarter, no score. Our first challenge.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. Lipitor. And by the all-new 09 F-150. It's not just a new truck, it's a new F-150.
Welcome back. And Steve, always a good feeling when you come across that bridge and you head into Pittsburgh.
Right out of that tunnel, and that skyline explodes right in your face. It's gorgeous at night. It's really breathtaking.
And right outside my room, we had a chance to see the igloo.
Yeah.
The igloo is right there. Romeo Crennel and the Browns ready for the decision on the challenge by Mike Tomlin.
The runner's left elbow is down at a 34.5-yard line with possession of the ball. Therefore, it will be 1st and 10 at the 34.5 since he made the line to gain. Pittsburgh has not charged the timeout.
So as you mentioned, Steve, Stallworth doing a nice job trying to sell it there.
Well, he did sell it. The officials bought it. But smartly, Mike Tomlin made the challenge right there. And right where, if anything except your feet or your hands touch the ground, Gus, you're down.
His whistle, you got a full 25.
First down and 10 at the 35. As Gronkowski comes back to the line of scrimmage with a first down. Now Stallworth crosses. Play fake. Gronkowski rolling out of the pocket. Throws on the run, and it's caught on the far side. Out of bounds, and that is Braylon Edwards, who gains 5. Defensively for Pittsburgh, they're ranked 1st in the NFL. Aaron Smith with 5.5 sacks, also a 3-4 team. Hampton and Kiesel. The linebackers, James Harrison has a hip pointer. He will not play today. He's an active 16 sacks for Harrison, an MVP candidate. So Lawrence Timmons will get the start at linebacker. And in the secondary, all these guys having a great year, especially Palomalu leads the NFL in interceptions with 7. The Tasmanian Devil. Second down and 5 at the 40. And here's the flash formation again. Cribbs running, and he gets to the 45-yard line. So I guess Ronnie Brown and the Miami Dolphins have made this wildcat type formation or flash formation very popular in the NFL now.
Well, it is, and it's really been a nice package for a lot of teams. And I think having one team do it and beat a team as a quality team like New England right off the bat with it made a lot of other teams consider it. And when you've got guys who can run it, like Josh Cribbs, you see there, Cleveland's got some personnel that can run that. Plus, in this game, Gus, they're doing everything they can to protect Bruce Gradkowski and not put the game on his shoulders. So they're giving him as much relief as they can.
First down and 10 at the 46. Jamal Lewis in the backfield. Here's Lewis chopping his feet, hops forward and gets inside Pittsburgh territory as he gets down to the 48. He picks up 9 yards on the play. Bryant McFadden with the tackle, and Jamal Lewis coming over from Baltimore last year. A solid season. They gave him his money, and also this year, although the team has struggled, he continues to play hard.
Yeah, he certainly does, and that's one of the things we spoke to Romeo Crennel about, and he has really been impressed and happy with the effort that Jamal Lewis has put forth every single game. He has continued to run hard even in a difficult year.
Second down and 1. The up back with the carry. Lawrence Vickers looking for the first down and has it, as Lawrence Timmons, who was their first round pick in 2007, and Timmons, number 94, having a very good game against Baltimore a couple of weeks ago when he had 6 tackles and a sack.
Yeah, and he's going to be upping that run game against Jamal Lewis, and you got to tip your hat to Jamal Lewis. This is a guy that's had a great career, but he's been the victim of being on some teams with some really poor offenses.
First down and 10 at the 43-yard line. Lewis again, and he lowers his shoulder and gets to the 37. Timmons with the stop, a gain of 6 on the play. Anthony Smith also there.
You remember Jamal Lewis with the Baltimore Ravens with a Super Bowl ring, and then coming to Cleveland. And last year when Derek Anderson, the quarterback, had his breakout year, that he said that was the best offense he had ever been on. And now this year, with 4 different quarterbacks lining up in front of him, once again he's saddled with the responsibility of carrying this offense solely on his shoulders.
Jamal Lewis running over the right side this time. And Casey Hampton brings him down, a 2-yard pickup. Jamal from Atlanta, and what has made him so special, although he's a big man, 5'11", 245, he was a track star in high school, a terrific sprinter, and he's got breakaway speed.
Well, he's got great feet as well, so when he gets in traffic running inside like a big back like he is called on to do a lot, he still has the ability to move his feet, change directions in tight spaces, and keep his feet driving through small areas, and it really makes him effective.
10th play of the drive that started at the Cleveland 20. Gradkowski rolling out of the pocket, and he is knocked out of bounds. At about the line of scrimmage, McFadden ushering him out of bounds.
Well, Gradkowski turned the corner after the play fake, and he needed to throw the football right away. Braylon Edwards was sitting just past the down marker for the first down, but he had only a split second to throw it in there to him, and he hesitated, and the moment was gone. And when Gradkowski tucked the ball and felt like going in, trying to get the first down on his own, the Steeler defense ran him down like he was standing still.
So that brings on Phil Dawson, 30 of 35 this season, 30 field goals this season, a franchise record, into attempt a 53-yarder. It's up and no good.
Now the wind.
So with 3 minutes and 37 seconds remaining in the first, our score 0-0. And welcome back as the Browns come up empty. Dawson hooking it. As you take a look, first 2 drives, both teams controlling the football, resulting in no points. First down at the 43. Roethlisberger pumping, fires to the sideline. Hines Ward! That should be enough for 1,000 yards. Hines Ward just surpassed 1,000 receiving yards for the 5th time in his career, his first since 2004.
Yeah, Ben Roethlisberger takes a hit at the end of this. This is a little out and up that Roethlisberger just puts right over the top of Poole, and just right there. I mean, that's It's a great throw, but I'll tell you at the other end, Ben Roethlisberger had to pick himself up off the ground. The Browns were bringing some heat, and they're going to have to address that because you don't want Roethlisberger getting hurt in this game.
That was a gain that's 24 yards. First down. And the handoff. Willie Parker.
You talk about Hines Ward, Gus. I mean, what a career this guy's had. A Super Bowl MVP. He's got 12 Steeler team records as a wide receiver, a team that has put 2 wide receivers into the Hall of Fame. And you got to think this guy may be the next one. I mean, you don't really hear him in that kind of conversation usually, but I think when you look at his career, what he's meant to this team, this organization, in the games that he's played in, I think he belongs in that conversation.
Second down and 7 at the 30-yard line. Willie Parker. And Parker goes down. I agree with you 100% on Hines Ward. I remember calling his games when he was a college player at Georgia, and he could do a little bit of everything, play multiple positions, but more importantly, he's got the heart as big as the city of Pittsburgh itself.
Yeah, he really does. And he plays the position in a physical manner, even though he's not one of those 6'5", 220-pound receivers. He plays physical, and he's not afraid to mix it up. And I think other receivers like Holmes pick up on that. And I think it spreads around the team, and great teams have great players who make other players great, and that's what Hines Ward does.
Third down at 5 at the 28. Over the middle. This one caught Heath Miller. And Miller picks up the first down as he goes down at the 20. Stopped by Nick Sorensen. That's an 8-yard pickup. And Heath Miller also having a solid season. That's his 44th catch.
Well, you have the tight end all the way on the outside, and he ends up manned up on the safety, Sorensen, and Sorensen just has to run through so many guys and so much traffic and comes from so far off. He can't get there on a short route like that. Great throw by Roethlisberger and great play design and call by the Steelers.
First down at the 20. Play fake. Roethlisberger firing. Intercepted. Sean Jones steps in there, picks it off as Roethlisberger throws his 15th interception of the season.
It was a bad throw, Gus. He held on to it, got a little traffic in his face, and threw this ball badly behind Miller, and it cost him.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored in high definition by Sony. High definition, it's in Sony's DNA. And by Budweiser American Ale. Discover the robust flavor of Budweiser American Ale.
And welcome back to Pittsburgh. 48 degrees at kickoff time. Cleveland with an interception. 23rd as the ball is turned over at the 10-yard line now. And this is Jamal Lewis running it straight ahead, and he goes nowhere. Well, let's take a look at the Ben Roethlisberger interception.
Well, here's Heath Miller. Here's Sean Jones right here. And watch as Miller comes off the line of scrimmage. He's going to come open. Ben Roethlisberger throws this ball way too late. And behind him, you see there, this is separation. This ball needs to be out in here. Roethlisberger throws it very late and behind him. Sean Jones just steps up and catches it. And that was a wide open pass that Ben Roethlisberger just misplayed. He had pressure in his face, and it led to the bad throw. That's how Cleveland can beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. Turnovers.
Second down and 9 at the 10-yard line. Lewis again. And that should take us to the end of the first quarter. So the end of the first, no score in Pittsburgh. We'll return to Pittsburgh after these messages. You're watching the NFL on CBS. And welcome back. Great atmosphere, great energy in the stadium. Close game as we hit the second quarter. Both teams controlling the football but unable to put points on the board. Third down and 7 at the 12. Bratkowski in the shotgun. And a handoff to Jamal Lewis. Lewis breaking it to the 20, and Jamal Lewis stopped by Troy Polamalu, but will gain 12 yards on 3rd down and 7.
You look at the Steelers and the way they play their football games, and even a week ago when Roethlisberger fumbled it going into the end zone, it took away an opportunity. Exactly the same thing here. The turnover by Roethlisberger sets Cleveland up not only to have the football and a chance to drive down the field to score, but it robs Pittsburgh of the opportunity to score a field goal at least. So, you know, turnovers have been Pittsburgh's one Achilles heel this season. If they can get over that, that's the one thing that will carry them to the playoffs and maybe the Super Bowl title.
Lewis again running. And the Browns determined to get Jamal Lewis his 1,000 yards. Now let's go to James Brown in New York for an NFL update.
Gus and Steve, the Bears need a win and a Minnesota loss to win the NFC North. Kyle Orton doing his part, hooking up with Brandon Lloyd there, and a Robbie Gould field goal makes it 10-0. Well, what is Minnesota doing? No score in that contest against the Giants. Back to Mr. Mixed Martial Arts himself, Gus Johnson and Steve Tasker.
See, James Brown was a terrific kickboxer. People don't know that. I remember when I was a little boy watching him do some kickboxing at the gym. Here is Cleveland throwing it out of the backfield. Ali with the catch on the sideline, gets to the 25. That's a 2-yard pickup. Bryant McFadden with the tackle.
Well, here we go with Cleveland. You know, they throw the football quick, getting it out of Gradkowski's hands, which is the smart thing to do. They're going to try and protect him in any way they can, but now they find themselves in a 3rd and about 7, or 3rd and 8, and it is, you know, this is exactly the kind of situation Cleveland cannot afford to be in very often this afternoon, not with this front 7 of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
So 3rd down and 7 at the 26. And a handoff. Lewis again. And he will not pick up the 1st down. Aaron Smith, first man to him. And the Browns will have to punt it.
Yeah, I mean, that's an absolute lack of confidence in your passing game. You just don't believe you're going to be able to throw the football and complete it on a 3rd and 7. You just hand it off maybe on a draw and hope maybe not just one guy, but maybe 2 guys miss a tackle, and that's a false hope against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense that leads the league.
Santonio Holmes is back deep at the 34. Zastidle sends it away. Holmes backpedaling, has it at the 27. And he gets up to the 34-yard line. A 46-yard punt and a 6-yard return. Nick Sorensen with the tackle. Welcome back. No score. 12:09 to play in the 2nd quarter. Pittsburgh with the football at their own 35, 1st down. Santonio Holmes in motion. Willie Parker. Parker breaks a tackle. A flag on the play. And he's tripped up and taken down on the far side.
Holding, number 83 of the offense. 10-yard penalty. Still 1st down.
That's Heath Miller, the tight end.
That's his 2nd one this half. He was working against Willie McGinnis. And McGinnis gets such penetration. And McGinnis, even though he's been around for a long, long time, he plays with great leverage and he's savvy. And he gets such penetration and he's big. And a tight end on him is going to struggle no matter who it is. And that time, Heath Miller had to grab him to keep him from blowing that play up in the backfield.
Willie McGinnis, 6'5", 270 in his 15th season out of USC. 1st down and 20 at the 25. Roethlisberger, straight drop. Fires over the middle. And it's caught by Heath Miller. Miller crossing the 35 up to the 37, a 14-yard gain. St. Louis and Atlanta. Here's James Brown in New York.
Gus and Steve, I know you guys can appreciate this hard run by Steven Jackson, which gives the Rams a 7-3 lead. Now, of course, Atlanta needs a win and a Panthers loss to move up to the 2 seed in the 1st round bye. But Carolina not cooperating right now, up 6-0 in the 2nd. Gus and Steve.
Outside.
All right, JB, and already clinching a playoff berth, Atlanta. Trying to get that number 2 seed, and this time it's Willie Parker slicing through the Cleveland defense as Brandon McDonald gets him. A 7-yard gain, though, for Willie Parker. 1st down, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and that was a nice 7-yard gain, and that's kind of what you're looking for from Willie Parker. And a guy that can turn the corner, find a slot in the defense, and really accelerate through it. He is fast, and that's his game. And when you're a guy, Gus, when you're a fast guy that's not feeling 100% physically, it's hard to be fast. And he hasn't been fast for about 3 weeks.
First down and 10 at the 46. McHugh and Parker in the I formation. Parker again. This time he slips down. Right at the line of scrimmage. Go to CBSSports.com for complete coverage of the NFL playoffs. Get the latest news, see who's in, and read expert analysis on next weekend's matchups. It's all online at CBSSports.com. So, Steve, I'm excited. What do you think about the playoffs, especially in the AFC? I think it's anybody's. It's anybody's playoff. Well, if you get high.
Yeah, nobody wants to play Pittsburgh. Nobody wants to play Indianapolis. You know, you've got some teams in there that really, this Pittsburgh team, you talk to Ben Roethlisberger, is interesting.
2nd and 10.
It was interesting to talk to Ben Roethlisberger, Gus. He said, you know, we said, well, who would you like to play? What kind of matchups? He goes, you know what? I'd like to play somebody new because we've played all those teams. We've played all those teams, and they have. And Tennessee, of course, they were beaten by, they have not played the AFC East, but they played Denver. They played Indianapolis, of course, Baltimore. I mean, these teams, he said, we'd love to play somebody we haven't played yet this year. You know, talk about the Steelers playing Baltimore again for the 3rd time. He says, no thanks. I'd like to play somebody new.
Steelers don't want to see Baltimore again. That defense is tough. That's always just a train wreck when these two teams go at it. 3rd down and 7 at the 49. Roethlisberger to the sideline, and that one thrown short, incomplete. No flag on the play. Holmes, the intended receiver, in front of Eric Wright. And now a late flag.
Yeah. You talk to the Steeler coaching staff, Mike Tomlin, and he said, you know, the corners.
Pass interference, defense, number 24. Automatic first down.
You talk to the corners about the corners for Cleveland. They're young. They're both in their 2nd year, and they said the game's not too big for them. You know, they like to compete. They both believe, you can tell by the way they play, these corners for Cleveland, even though they're young and have some things to learn, they want to compete. They think they can do it, and it's fun to watch them improve every week.
First down and 10 at the Cleveland 40-yard line. Willie Parker, and he's dropped immediately. That's some nice pursuit. Willie McGinnis, for a 15-year veteran, he's still playing with a pep in his step.
Right here at the time, you can't miss him. You said, Gus, he's 6'5", 270, playing outside linebacker, and he's a handful. They finally went out and got a tackle on him. He just steps up, and I mean steps right inside the block with Cologne and just makes the play. He's just enormous outside for a backer.
2nd down and 11 at the 41. Roethlisberger, pump fake, in trouble. Fires on the run up the sideline. Caught! Touchdown! Nate Washington. That's why you love Ben Roethlisberger. He knows how to make a play.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. Sometimes when he extends the play, he gets caught in the sack or caught making a play, but this one's going to come back. There's a flag in the backfield and it's coming back, but that was the kind of play Ben Roethlisberger made. That's the good side of the sword right there. That's the one that cuts the opponent. When Ben Roethlisberger breaks out of containment, extends the play, and throws the big play. This one's coming back, Gus, but that's a perfect illustration of why this Steeler offense is effective.
So that's going to make it 2nd down and 20. A holding call against Pittsburgh. Underneath, and this time it's incomplete. Holmes, the intended receiver.
Yeah, and that's a huge deflating play, obviously, for Pittsburgh. And I think Cologne was the guy that got called on the hold just a moment ago, but you know, that you come out, you make a big play, go for a touchdown right here. This is the hold where he's trying to get outside, and they call him on the hold. They're working against Leonard.
3 holding penalties against the Steelers here in the first half. 3rd down and 21. Mewelde Moore checks in to the game at running back for Pittsburgh. Roethlisberger out of the shotgun, steps up in the pocket, wants to run, shovels it off to Heath Miller, and he can't hold on.
Pass intended for Miller, incomplete.
So that brings up 4th down, and the Steelers will punt it away.
Well, we said in the open, if the Cleveland Browns can get some pressure on Roethlisberger, scare him off, at least you give yourself a chance for him to do something that'll give you a chance. The first interception was an illustration of that. That play right there was an illustration of it. You know, this has already been a longer day for Ben Roethlisberger than they were hoping for.
So Berger pops it high in the air, Cribbs from the 10. And Cribbs goes down at the 15.
Yeah, there's 2 flags on this.
A 41-yard punt, a 6-yard return. Kieran Fox with the tackle. But there is a flag, as you mentioned.
There's an illegal procedure penalty on the Steelers. They were not set before the ball was snapped. And then, of course, the roughing the punter call before, as the ball was kicked. This may go to the clean hands rule. And they're going to come back.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Illegal formation. Offense. Correction. Illegal motion. Number 24 of the offense was not set. 22. Personal foul. Referee the kicker. Defense. By rule, those penalties will offset. Replay 4th down.
There you have it. Because those penalties were before the kick, they'll have to repunt it. Now, if they'd happened after the kick, they'd do. Now, down at the bottom, he didn't get outside fast enough to set. He never set his feet. He was still running out to get lined up. And then, of course, they crushed the kicker.
15 with a chain.
So William Gay, who plays your old position, Steve.
That's right. I feel for him.
He's a gunner.
Well, they never think about you out there. They break the huddle, run up. Those guys run like 5 yards up to the line of scrimmage, and they snap it. You got to run 25 yards out to the sidelines to get set, and they don't wait on you. So he had to hurry up and get out there, and they didn't wait for him to get set.
So Berger will punt it from the 35. And this time, angles it toward the near sideline, takes a bounce, and a roll. Very nice job by Mitch Berger. Ball down at the 5-yard line. It's a 46-yard punt.
Well, Cleveland's got a plan, Gus. They want to get after the kicker, want to make a big play. They're going to try and do it special teams.
Welcome back as the Browns are trying to stay out of the record books. They've gone 21 quarters without an offensive touchdown. The record is 22 quarters set by the 1974 Bears. So now Cleveland takes over 1st down at their own 5. Jamal Lewis breaks the tackle, and Jamal Lewis all the way out to the 19-yard line as he gains 13. Ike Taylor with the stop. Cleveland's last offensive touchdown came back in Week 11 against Buffalo. James Harrison scored on a 72-yard rush early in the 4th quarter. The Browns did not score an offensive touchdown in their last 5 games entering this week. Wow. 1st down at the 18. Here's the handoff again, and Jamal Lewis make that Cribbs, running the football that time.
Yeah. That was, that's the Wildcat. They're trying to do some things, Gus. And we said, and I said just before the break, they're trying to make some big plays. Cleveland, there's no question. Pittsburgh is going to the playoffs. Cleveland's had struggled all year. They got a quarterback that has not started for them before today. Cleveland's got to do some things special to win this game today on the road, and they're trying to do it.
2nd down and 9. And Lewis crosses the 20, gets up to the 23. James Ferrier.
You can just count on them doing a lot of the flash package, a lot of, and as we saw earlier, a lot of runs on 3rd and 7, a lot of things in the special teams game where they're going to try and block a punt, block a field goal, maybe a fake field goal or a fake punt. They're going to pull out all the stops today, knowing that that's the kind of game it's going to take to beat a team like Pittsburgh.
James Harrison checks in for Jamal Lewis. 3rd down and 5 at the 23. Lawrence Vickers in the game as well. Gradkowski in the shotgun underneath, incomplete. And the Browns will punt.
Yeah, that pass wasn't close. I don't know whether it was tipped or whether it just got out of his hand, but that ball was not even close to being completed. And they went for the first time in the game to a 4 wide receiver set and kept Ali in to block for protection. And he should, Gradkowski got rid of it quick. Problem was there was nobody there to throw it to.
So Dave Zastidle stands inside his own 10. Santonio Holmes back deep. And this ball takes a stop at the 44-yard line. A 35-yard punt. 5:35 to go, second quarter. Ben Roethlisberger will try to get the Steelers going, hoping to put some points on the board.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by T. Rowe Price, providing investment management excellence for over 70 years. Invest with confidence. Denny's new $4 weekday express slam, a real breakfast for just $4. Denny's. And by Frost Brewed Coors Light. When the mountains turn blue, your beer is as cold as the Rockies.
The Allegheny River looking towards the Ohio as the Steelers take over at their own 43-yard line. 1st down and 10. McHugh and Willie Parker in the backfield. Here's Parker. And Parker leans forward as he crosses the 45 up to the 46, gains 3 yards on the play. Andre Davis with the tackle. Thought the fantasy football season was over. It's not. Sign up for NFL.com's playoff challenge where you could win a trip to Super Bowl 44 only at NFL.com/fantasy/playoff challenge. 2nd down and 7 at the 46. Willie Parker lines up as a receiver on the far side. He's in the slot. Roethlisberger over the middle. Heath Miller. And Miller. Burst of speed. And Heath Miller gets to the 34-yard line. Gains 20 yards. Eric Wright with the tackle.
It was a zone blitz. They rushed 5 guys. He's right in the middle of that 3-man side over there. Comes across underneath the clear-out route and just turns it up in. This is one of those plays, and really one of the rare plays where Roethlisberger gets rid of the ball on time, doesn't hold it and try and make the big play, drops back, gets rid of it on a quick route, and it turns into a big play.
1st down and 10 at the 34 now. Parker hits the corner. Down the sideline. Willie Parker. Touchdown, Pittsburgh. 34 yards.
Got a great block by Kemo Iatu. Kemo Iatu came around, led him up through the middle, got up there, and that's exactly what the Steelers have been looking. Kemo Iatu right here is going to come out and seal back, and Parker just follows him, gets through the crease, and that's it. That is what Mike Tomlin told us he wanted to see from Willie Parker. He wanted to see him break a nice long run and outrun some people and look healthy doing it, and that's exactly what that looked like.
And for Willie Parker, that was his 24th career rushing touchdown. Extra point up and good. Parker now moves past Rocky Bleier for 8th place on the team's all-time rushing touchdown list. He hit the corner, blazing 7-0 Steelers. Welcome back as we take a look at the scoring drive. 3 plays, 1 minute and 28 seconds. Willie Parker with the 34-yard touchdown run, the longest run of the season. So the Steelers take a 7-0 lead, 4:07 to play in the first half. And Cribbs, the dangerous return man, starts inside his own 5. And Cribbs up to the 20, and he'll be taken down at the 22, a 19-yard return for Joshua Cribbs, taken down by Kerry Davis. Willie Parker gets the Steelers on the board. Here come the Browns on offense.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Amway. Say hello to the company that helps over 3 million people own their own business. And by the all-new Dodge Ram.
And welcome back. Talk about a happy kid.
That's the guy who caught the ball that Willie Parker threw into the stands, and it's going to cost Willie Parker a fine, but he just paid the fine to buy a fan for life. That kid will be a Willie Parker fan forever.
Harrison catching the screen, and he crosses the 20 up to the 22-yard line. James Ferrier with the tackle. How much do you get fined when you throw the ball in the
I think
stand?
it's still $1,500. And the ball only costs $1.50, you know, $150 or something, but the league stopped doing that because all of a sudden you had every guy who scored a touchdown was heaving it into the stands, so they put a stop to it, and they started fining guys for doing that.
But they don't fine you if you just give it to
No,
a fan.
you can walk up and hand it to them. They don't care. You know, the NFL can afford the $150 for the ball. They just don't want anybody getting hurt by a line drive throw into the stands.
Second down and 9 at the 23. And Harrison trying to go outside, and he is pushed out of bounds at the 25. But a flag is on the field at the 20. William Gay giving chase.
Holding, number 79 of the offense. 10-yard penalty. Second down.
And you know what I like about this Pittsburgh defense this year, Steve? Not only in the past, they've always had a great front seven. But now it seems like their corners and their safeties have really started to play that kind of football that would allow you to think of this team as a world championship team again.
Yeah, and they're a great defense, but you talk to their coaching staff and their players, and they say, you know what, we're going to be great, maybe legendary, but only if we win the next month and a half. We got to win games. We got to win games in the playoffs to be truly considered great, and that's true.
Second down and 19. And over the middle, this ball is caught. Nice throw. Rucker lost it. Picked up, though, by Smith. And here comes Smith down the sideline, and they're going to call this an incomplete pass.
They're calling it incomplete. The umpire turned around, and he was waving it off from the beginning. I don't know that I believe it, but this ball's coming back. It's going to be incomplete. Watch as Record comes up. He's going to get the ball knocked out away perfectly by Polamalu. I don't know. I think he had both hands, both feet on the ground. He's got control, 1 foot, 2 foot.
That's a catch.
That's a catch and a fumble.
That's a catch.
That is a catch and a fumble, and it's going to cost the Steelers a touchdown.
Possession and 2 feet.
He had possessions and 2 feet. You're right. Polamalu does the exact. You can't play it any better than that. And Mike Tomlin, you know, I don't even know that he's going to throw his flag, but I think he should. Well, there's any question. He catches it. He has it immediately. Ball goes into his chest, 1 foot, 2 foot, and then the ball's out. I think that's a missed call by the officials, no question.
Third down and 19 at the 13-yard line. This one thrown to the far side, incomplete. Waylon Edwards, the intended receiver, slipping on the play. Gradkowski off the mark. So that brings up fourth down, and we were just talking about the corners and safeties for this Pittsburgh team. Maybe the big difference, and it's why this team is probably the best defense overall in the NFL.
Yeah, you look at the defense, and particularly around the NFL, Gus, they have one guy that makes a difference. Certainly there are great guys up front, but you look at the Indianapolis Colts with Bob Sanders and, of course, the Pittsburgh Steelers with Troy Polamalu. They make all the difference.
Holmes backpedaling, starts from the 40. And Holmes crosses the 45 up to the 48, a 47-yard punt and an 8-yard return. Troy Polamalu, one of the best in football. Coming up on the Sprint Halftime Report, join JB, Dan Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cowher for all the latest NFL scores and highlights. That's coming up on the Sprint Halftime Report.
Just going back to that last catch fumble, Mike Tomlin could have reviewed that had he wanted to, because the defense immediately scooped it up, but he chose not to, probably because his guys up in the booth didn't get a good enough look at it or didn't think it was going to be there was indisputable enough evidence to overturn it, so they didn't want to waste the timeout.
Steelers take over at the 48, first down. 2:32 remaining. Roethlisberger to the sideline, caught, and it's Holmes out of bounds. Nice route, nice catch in front of DeQuell Jackson. Gain of 15.
And this is a nice little timing route. This ball's in the air before Holmes comes out of his break. And, you know, the corners for the Browns, you know, where I was talking about them earlier, they're playing man off in that situation. They've got help underneath. They're responsible not to let the guy get deep. If you've got that coverage and they run the timing route, unless you sit on it and gamble, you're not going to defend it.
First down at the 37. Roethlisberger in trouble. Here comes a blitz. He gets it away, incomplete. Corner blitz coming. Brandon McDonald just couldn't bring down the 6'5", 241-pound Roethlisberger. McDonald, 5'10", $185. 2-minute warning. Back after this. And welcome back. Gus Johnson, Steve Tasker with you. Under 2 minutes to play. In the first half, Steelers with the football at the Cleveland 37, second down and 10. Here's Big Ben. Steps up in the pocket, throws across his body. Heath Miller with the grab. Dangerous throw, though, for Roethlisberger, and Roethlisberger is down.
And he threw that ball very late. It was the same play they were successful with a little earlier with Heath Miller coming underneath the clear out. And Ben Roethlisberger stays down. He threw that late across the middle, as you said, Gus, and this is exactly what the Steelers didn't want to see. Watch as he backs out. Sean Rogers goes around the outside. Then he gets hit hard by McGinnis, high, and Jackson low. And when he's out of the pocket, the quarterback is not protected as he is when he's in the pocket. So it wasn't a cheap shot or a dirty hit or anything. It was a clean shot by both those guys. And this is what they wanted to see Byron Leftwich in the game, I think, Gus, but not under these circumstances. As we said in the open, though, Byron Leftwich is a guy that can win games. And not every team in the playoffs has a backup that they know can win games if their starter goes down.
So Ben Roethlisberger on his back, and we talked about this at the top of our broadcast. Mike Tomlin wanting to play his guys, but the question, how long would they play? You knew Ben Roethlisberger was going to play coming into this game, but Mike Tomlin and the Steelers wanting to have some momentum as they head into the playoffs.
And they wanted to wipe the bad taste of this Tennessee game off, or get it out of their mouths before this playoff started. And you see there, that's a good, you know, he's had shoulder problems this year. Last week he got his ankle rolled up on a similar play to this, although the tackle was much different. It was a play when he was scrambling around. And he's a guy that runs the football. He had 2 fumbles last week, one going in for a touchdown, got upended on a run, and then, of course, in the pocket, got the ball knocked loose, as happens to a lot of quarterbacks. And I'll tell you, Gus, this is a long time for a player to stay down. You can see he's talking to the trainers.
Let's watch this in real speed.
It's hard to even tell exactly what might be hurting on him. He got hit high-low, so it could be anywhere above his knees that he got hurt. And as I said before, we've been talking about Willie McGinnis the whole game. He's big. I mean, when 270 lands on you, he's 6'5", 270. And, you know, Ben Roethlisberger is not the first quarterback that has felt his pain.
Now Mike Tomlin comes onto the field. Roethlisberger on his back. Byron Leftwich, 24-22, his career as a starting quarterback.
It could be, you know, you think when a guy stays down, you know, you can't even speculate what it might be. It could be his ribs. It could have been that he got poked in the eye even, or it could be, he got a shot to the jaw. You have no idea what it is. He's speaking there, as you can tell. He's talking to the attendants around him, and he did get landed on.
And they're holding Roethlisberger's head.
I don't know. Could see again if he banged hard on the grass, and sometimes that'll happen too, where it'll be the ground that causes a concussion. Sometimes watches his.
Yes, he did go down hard.
He went down the back of his head, and that's when the back of your head gets hit. Sometimes you're more susceptible to being suffering a concussion than you are if the front of your head gets hit. But there's no way of knowing. But this is a long, long time for him to stay down.
So Roethlisberger, who was projected to play the first half and then allow Byron Leftwich to take over. And with 1 minute and 48 seconds to go, Roethlisberger remaining on the field, and he's been there for quite some time now.
And I'll tell you, Gus, I don't care if Ben Roethlisberger gets up and says, I'm all right, I just got the wind knocked out of me, everything's going to be fine, Coach. I think Mike Tomlin will say, you know what, you're done.
There's no doubt about that. Coach Tomlin, you wonder what he's thinking now.
You talk about what Ben Roethlisberger has meant to this team in the playoffs. Look, he's had 3 appearances, 3 years he's been in the playoffs, 5-2 record. I mean, those are important numbers for a football team headed into the playoffs. I mean, you can't win in the NFL unless you've got a quarterback that can play.
So Ben Roethlisberger, the first quarterback in Steelers history to throw for 3,000 yards in 3 consecutive seasons. So let's take a look a couple of plays ago and what may have contributed to what's taking place right now on the field.
And perhaps it's a cumulative effect. His head, he got down on the ground there where his head kind of hit the ground on the missed sack there by McDonald. And then just a moment ago, we see it once again.
They're going to bring the stretcher out now, folks. And let us say that generally when this is done, it's for precautionary purposes. They want to make sure that the player receives the best possible care. And it's a scary looking sight.
But yeah, it doesn't mean it's any more or less serious, but it does mean this, that they want to be as careful as they possibly can with Roethlisberger and his well-being, whether there's any sense of something catastrophic going on there or not. I mean, he's been moving around, so it doesn't seem to be a case where he's lost the sensation in any of his limbs or anything, but in this situation, they're going to be as careful as they can. And that, of course, without question, is going to end Ben Roethlisberger's day.
Steelers do have a first-round bye and a home game as the number 2 seed in the AFC. So now they will unscrew his face mask.
Yeah, their protocols they have, and they drill this. They will practice. They practice this, and it looks bad if they're taking his helmet apart. They do that, and it's protocols that have been passed down from the NFL and with experts and in consultation with
medical officials. And you'll see them practicing this very procedure before the game.
Yeah, they'll practice this at least once before the season begins and probably refresh it in the offseason. So, and all those guys there around the field, looks like a bunch of guys standing around. They all do have roles to play, and they practice this. So it's not something they're doing just because this is a serious injury. They would do this in any number of scenarios.
So Roethlisberger in the first half, 9 of 14, 109 yards, and that interception. And for the coaches in situations like this, for Mike Tomlin, when you have the playoffs around the corner, your team didn't play well last week, you want to make sure that you motivate your team and get them focused and ready for the postseason, especially when you have a bye. Some may argue that he shouldn't have played Ben Roethlisberger. I don't think you feel that.
No, I don't. If you're going to worry about getting guys hurt, coach tennis. I mean, football is a game where you have to play and you have to bring an emotional charge to the game, and you cannot play the game halfway. And it's wrong as well to sit a guy worried about whether he's going to get hurt, because you've got 52 or 52 other guys on the roster that are playing as well. Most players will say, you know what, it makes no sense to worry about getting hurt, because if you're going to get hurt, it has nothing to do with the game or how the play. It's just so unplanned and so chaotic out there. Anything can happen. So if you're going to worry about it, you really shouldn't be playing football.
So Ben Roethlisberger being put on the stretcher, and he will be carted off the field. And as we mentioned earlier, the NFL likes to err on the side of caution, and they want to do this for precautionary purposes when a player is injured, to give the player an opportunity to get the best possible treatment. So this looks like a scary thing, but it quite often and most likely isn't as severe as it looks. And we've called games in the past in which players have been taken off the field, and later on during the evening you hear that they're okay, or they have been taken to the hospital for x-rays, and released later on that evening.
So. Of course, as soon as we hear anything about his condition or the extent of his injuries, we of course will relay it as fast and as accurately as we possibly can.
So I think we will not speculate, and we will just bring you the facts as they are delivered to us here in the broadcast booth. Ben Roethlisberger down, his teammates on the field, with 1 minute and 48 seconds remaining in the first half.
You see James Ferrier there with 51.
One of their defensive leaders.
Probably speaking to Ben. And I'll tell you guys, one thing you don't know, and I've been in this situation on the field with a teammate down and the trainers, Ben Roethlisberger, those guys that are kneeling around him, helping him, they see him and talk to him and are his friends every day in the locker room. It's a group. They're part of the team. The guys that are kneeling around Ben Roethlisberger right now, they know him as well as anybody, and I'm sure he feels as comfortable with them as he would members of his own family. I mean, it's just, you trust those guys. You see them every day. They're part of the team. You see James Ferrier there. I mean, this is a group that is in and around the Steeler locker room all the time. So it's not like he's got strangers working on him. These are his friends, co-workers, guys who are part of the Pittsburgh Steeler organization and have been from the beginning of the season and beyond before that.
So Ben Roethlisberger has been down for almost 13 minutes now, after being hit by Willie McGinnis and DeQuell Jackson. McGinnis hit him high and Jackson hit him low.
And it wasn't, and you're right, guys, we said it earlier, it was clean, and it wasn't a vicious hit. And sometimes the most innocuous of plays turn out to be the ones where a guy will get hurt like that. But we'll just have to wait and see the extent of what this means for Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers. Well, no matter what the extent, Gus, and we all hope it's a minor. This is totally precautionary, but whatever it is, it's not good.
So he appears conscious. And Byron Leftwich going over and saying, so as we mentioned earlier, generally when these things happen and a player is taken off the field on a stretcher, it's for precautionary purposes. And that's what we were looking for there. A nice thumbs up by Ben. The entire stadium was waiting for that as Roethlisberger was taken
This stadium
into the tunnel.
This stadium,
including this broadcast booth.
This stadium hasn't been that quiet since midnight last night when it was empty.
That's what we were waiting for right there. So hopefully Ben Roethlisberger is going to be okay. As the Steelers come back on the field along with the Browns. 3rd down and 6 from the 33. Byron Leftwich in the game now. Here's Leftwich. Underneath, ball caught. And it's Heath Miller again, as Leftwich completes his first pass, and it's a gain of 10. Hard to play under these conditions.
The game changes, no question, Gus. Everything changes, and it'll take a little bit for both these teams to shake off what just happened and go ahead and play. That play certainly helps Byron Leftwich getting that first completion, and it'll give a chance for the team to shake the cobwebs out.
Leftwich again, and Leftwich throwing, and he is hit as he releases the football. Willie McGinnis again, and McGinnis has been all over the field.
Yeah. I'll tell you guys, right now, a lot of the Steelers are thinking right now is, I want to get into halftime and ask about Ben. I want to find out what's going on with that, and they want to get in off the field and find out what that situation is and go in. And it's fortunate, for as far as this game is concerned, that it happened just before halftime, where the team can go in and collect itself and then come back out for the second half.
2nd down and 10 at the 24. And some movement on the left side of the Steelers' offensive line. Looks like Kimoyatu, the left guard.
False start, 68 offense. 2nd down. 5-yard penalty.
Well, they're in field goal range. There's no question about it. 1:13 left. I mean, we saw both kickers kicking from well outside 50 yards going in this direction in pregame.
Second down and 15 to the 29. Leftwich underneath, and this one caught. It's Kerry Davis out of the backfield, and Davis gets inside the 15. Timeout on the field. 1:04 to play in the first half. Pittsburgh threatening, up 7-0. And don't forget, coming up, it's the Sprint Halftime Report. Join JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cower for all the scores and highlights from Week 17 in the National Football League. And Coach Cower, there's a message coming from Pittsburgh. You belong to the Steelers, not to us at CBS.
3rd down and 1.
Or the Browns.
Or the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, there's reports come out of Cleveland that a change may be on the horizon. We'll get to that later on. But, yeah, Cower still cuts a wide swath in Pittsburgh.
Russell running, pushing the pile forward, and he gets inside the 10. A 7-yard pickup. Clock keeps running, under a minute to play now. Corey Williams with the tackle. Steelers get up, scramble, back to the line of scrimmage. And Leftwich spikes the football. So now Hines Ward, Santonio Holmes, and Kerry Davis come back into the game.
Yeah, this is a place where I think Byron Leftwich, and his experience is huge as a backup. You come in and with a quarterback who's been in this situation as a starter, as a franchise quarterback, as Byron Leftwich was in Jacksonville for so many years, you feel a lot better about using your entire package down here than you would with an inexperienced backup.
Leftwich underneath, incomplete. Too much on it, intended for Hines Ward.
That was a nice try, though. He saw it, he made the right read, made the right throw, and just missed out ahead of Ward. As Ward comes in motion, you'll see him come up, stick his foot in the ground, turn inside. That ball is right there, well thrown, and Leftwich has got an arm, but that was just a miss right there. That you got to tip your hat. That was a nice red zone pass play that Leftwich read correctly, made the correct throw, just couldn't connect.
3rd down and goal at the 8. 40 seconds to play in the first half. High snap handle by Leftwich. He's in trouble. Leftwich running. Leftwich breaks it back. Touchdown! An 8-yard scramble by Byron Leftwich.
Well, it wasn't pretty. I mean, it looked like he was going to bumble into the end zone, and he did. But it looked for a minute like he might break his own leg doing it. And that is a huge play for the Pittsburgh Steelers here just before halftime.
Leftwich not known as a running quarterback. A classic drop-back passer. But he improvised on that play, and the Steelers have a chance to take a 14-0 lead.
Right now, he decides to run right there and watch as he kind of stumbles right there and gets in.
And how about the block by Kimoyatu?
Yeah, that was a great block, and he felt him, and I think Leftwich, you know, he's not a runner, but he set that block up very well for Kimoyatu. He kind of went to the outside and then cut back up into it right behind big number 68 and got into the end zone.
Kimoyatu leading the way. And now Byron Leftwich with his 9th touchdown run of his career.
Corey Williams for the Browns was hurt on that play, being helped out, walking off under his own power, but he was slow to get up after that play for the Browns, and he'll be helped off.
13-0 Steelers, 32 seconds remaining here in the first half. And the extra point is up and good. So Byron Leftwich follows his left guard. Look at number 68 leading the way, throwing his body around. Leftwich gets into the end zone, and his head coach is appreciative. Tuesday on CBS, it's a star-studded night of spectacular performances as America pays tribute to Roger Daltrey and Pete Townsend, Morgan Freeman, Barbra Streisand, and more. The Kennedy Center honors Tuesday on CBS, America's most watched network.
And there you go. There's Gradkowski and Byron Leftwich.
32 seconds remaining in the first half, and the Steelers have now taken a 14-0 lead. Ben Roethlisberger carted off the field, folks, on a stretcher with 1:48 remaining in the second quarter after taking a hit from Willie McGinnis and DeQuell Jackson. He was on the field, down for almost 15 minutes. Josh Cribbs from the 5. And Cribbs taken down at the 27. A 22-yard return. Kieran Fox with the tackle. Byron Leftwich scrambling 8 yards for a touchdown, in for Ben Roethlisberger. Roethlisberger giving the fans here in Pittsburgh the thumb up as he headed off the field.
And this is, I think, Gus, for the Cleveland Browns, a spot where, you know, they're 14 points down and they don't have an offensive package with Gradkowski in that would be effective in this situation. I don't know if their two-ended offense is going to be effective in any way. as you see him hand it off inside to Jamal Lewis. I mean, this is exactly the kind of thing that Cleveland did not want to happen in this game. They're down 2 touchdowns with a guy who's only been trying to learn their offense for 3 weeks.
So that should take us to the end of the first half. With the score, the Pittsburgh Steelers 14, the Cleveland Browns nothing. We'll be back with the Sprint halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Welcome back to Pittsburgh. Steelers with a 14-0 halftime lead over the Browns. Gus Johnson, along with Steve Tasker. The big news, Ben Roethlisberger taken out at the end of the first half. According to the Steelers, he has a concussion. So you had concussions, a number of concussions during your career. What does that mean for the Steelers team?
Well, it means that he's going to have to be symptom-free for an extended period of time, maybe to come back in the game. He could maybe, if it was a mild concussion, come back and play again next week. But they have a bye week, which is a great thing. This is the hit on which it took place. D'Qwell Jackson, Willie McGinnis, his head goes against the ground. And you think about what happens in concussions. It could have been contributed to by an earlier play that we saw by McDonald coming in. You see as he whips down, his head goes against the ground there as well. But you see there as he goes off, he gives the thumbs up, and it is a concussion. And it'll be monitored throughout the coming week, and obviously in the next couple of weeks as to whether he'll be able to play when they make their first round bye, and then of course come into the division.
And they're taking him to the hospital so he can be looked at even further. How many concussions did you have?
Well, I'm not trying to be funny. I can't remember. I played for 13 years, and you get those. But I've had my hands have been broken a number of times, and broken, and so you kind of lose track of how many. But there you see the ambulance taking Ben Roethlisberger away to the hospital where he'll be checked out. And of course, whenever that happens to any player, they absolutely get the best care available. And Ben Roethlisberger obviously is no exception. And it'll be an interesting story as it develops as the playoffs get underway as to what his status will be. Not only, of course, it's been my experience that guys can come back and play pretty quickly after a concussion, but I don't know that he'll be able to come back and prepare. And in the playoffs, preparation is something that wins games, and that'll be a huge factor in the Steelers and how they approach their next couple of weeks through the bye and then the divisional round of the playoffs.
So we start the second half, and the Browns will have it. Josh Cribbs is back deep. Don't forget, this game is being brought to you in high-definition television. Jeff Reed will kick it as the final half of the season will get underway for this Cleveland Browns team. A lot of decisions will be made in the next couple of days from what we're hearing regarding the direction of the Browns. Cribbs picks it up at 5 and is upended at the 15. Nicely done by Gary Russell. 12-yard return. So the Browns tied the record, 22 quarters without an offensive touchdown, tying the 1974 Bears. Romeo Crennel in what could be his final half as the head coach of this team.
Yeah, and you think, Gus, it's not Romeo Crennel, however his career here in Cleveland ends or begins or continues, it's not, if it ends, it's not going to be entirely about this season.
First down and 10 at the 17. Stallworth in motion. Jamal Lewis running, and Lewis with some room over the left side. As Lewis gains 6 yards on the play. Lewis trying to close in on another 1,000-yard season. He needs 40 yards now, 13 carries, 60 yards, and there's Romeo Crennel.
Yeah, and as I said, it's not going to be about just this season. He lost 3 quarterbacks to injury. You can't win in the NFL doing that, but it's about his cumulative time here in Cleveland. He's got a 24-39 record coming into today, and it's his 5th season, and you got to ask yourself, is the club taking steps forward? Is it getting better?
This time Cribbs running it out of the flash formation. Flag thrown late from behind.
Holding. Number 79 of the offense. 10-yard penalty. Second down.
That's Scott Young.
It was reported earlier today that, you know, as people in Cleveland and around the league, and they knew that there was going to be a meeting between Romeo Crennel and ownership at the end of this season to reevaluate, and it's been reported now that the ownership has already made the decision to ask him perhaps to step down in a meeting that will happen perhaps even tomorrow. As Randy Lerner, the owner of the club, will have that meeting with Romeo Crennel, as well as Phil Savage will be involved as well.
Second down and 14 at the 13-yard line. Empty backfield. Gradkowski over the middle, incomplete. Braylon Edwards, the intended receiver. And that brings up third down and long.
And that was another throw from Gradkowski that had no chance.
And you think about some of the players lost this year. Anderson out with the knee. Quinn out with the broken finger against Buffalo. Kellen Winslow with an ankle. Joe Vicious with the staph infection.
Brady Quinn. I mean, the list goes on and on. There's Brady Quinn on the clipboard, just charting plays with a huge, you know, you think, and that's Derek Anderson right behind him. I mean, that's, you know, you can't throw the football with a busted finger.
Gradkowski, that one deflected at the line of scrimmage, incomplete. Nice job by the Steeler defense. They're starting to play even harder as it was deflected and knocked down by Kiesel.
Yeah, and the Steelers came out and they got the Browns into a must-pass situation, and you can't win against the Steelers when you're in obvious pass situations.
So Santonio Holmes is back deep as Zastidal sends it away, angling it toward the near side, takes a bounce, and it will be out of bounds. Very nice punt. Inside the 30-yard line, a 60-yard punt. So here comes Byron Leftwich in for Ben Roethlisberger. Steelers up 14-0. Sunny but breezy day here in Pittsburgh. Steelers with a 14-0 lead. And the big story, Ben Roethlisberger going out with 1:48 to go in the second quarter. He was taken into the locker room on a stretcher, and according to the Steelers, he has a concussion. So Byron Leftwich is now in at quarterback as Willie Parker runs it on first down. Adds an interesting wrinkle to the season. Byron Leftwich, former top pick out of Marshall, came in for Roethlisberger week 9 against Washington, and Leftwich finished 7 of 10 for 129 yards and a touchdown and a passer rating of 145.8. So he was the franchise player for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Fell out of favor with Jack Del Rio after being drafted by Shaq Harris. And now Leftwich may play a pivotal role in the postseason for the Steelers as Parker gets it up to the 40-yard line. Andre Davis with the tackle, and it's a gain of 10 yards.
And this is, if the Steelers have to go into the playoffs with Byron Leftwich as their starting quarterback, a lot of guys may, I'm not going to count them out. I think Leftwich is a guy you can depend on. In fact, I think he's a guy that has enough experience to help this offense. And not that Ben Roethlisberger is not the guy they want in there or that I would prefer in there. I just think Leftwich can win games.
Willie Parker running it again. So the backup quarterbacks in the AFC playoff picture.
Yeah, that's not that great. Vince Young is a guy who could come in off the bench, you think, and make some plays because that's his game. But Byron Leftwich is a guy who will run the offense. I think that's the difference. Plus, well, in the playoffs, every team does, but in this team, the Pittsburgh Steelers has a defense that can win games as well. And if Leftwich can come in and not turn it over, all of a sudden, I don't know if there's anybody in the AFC that's going to beat him.
Second down and 6. And now Willie Parker. And it's so ironic, coming into this game, you knew that Leftwich was going to get an opportunity from Mike Tomlin. You didn't know when Ben Roethlisberger was going to leave the game because they wanted to play hard. They wanted to get some momentum and head into the playoffs, but Leftwich needed the experience or the opportunity to get out there and knock off some of the rust.
Well, he didn't. Yeah, it's perfect for Leftwich. I mean, because you come in, give him some time, give him some experience and some feel for the huddle, and get the other guys looking at him in the huddle and getting used to his voice.
3rd down and 2. Byron underneath, nice throw, great catch by Holmes. Santonio Holmes picks up a 1st down in front of Eric Wright, and that time Leftwich, he missed Hines Ward earlier on the same slant. He took a little bit off of this one.
Yeah, and he puts it right out in front. Perfect throw, and that's a great catch by Holmes, and Eric Wright working on man-to-man coverage. You know, does make the tackle, and it's pretty good coverage, in fact, but it was a great throw and a great catch. And Byron Leftwich, the ball comes out a little more on time with him at quarterback.
And this time it's Parker running right. And Leftwich and Roethlisberger very similar, both 6'5", both about 250 pounds. Roethlisberger in his 5th year, Leftwich in his 6th season, and they're both classic drop-back quarterbacks, only Roethlisberger is much more mobile.
Yeah, no question. They both have playoff experience. I mean, Leftwich is he didn't just fall off the turnip truck at the market. You know, he's been around the block, knows his way around the playoffs and how to prepare for them as well.
2nd down and 7. Parker gets to the 35, flag throw from the sideline. DeQuell Jackson with the tackle.
Illegal blocking the back. Number 14 in the offense. 10-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
That's Lima Swede, their rookie 2nd-round pick out of Texas.
You know, Gus, you talk about this, and the Steelers put one more touchdown on the board or a score of any kind, you think maybe Mike Tomlin gets some guys out of the game. The problem is when you're playing in the NFL, you only got 45 guys on the sideline. It's not like you can run in the 3rd team. There isn't a 3rd team. You can't replace your offensive line. You can maybe give 2 guys a rest. You can't do it everywhere. And that's something that a lot of people wonder why. Well, there's nobody else over there to send in.
2nd down and 13. And Holmes, the intended receiver, that one incomplete, thrown a little bit high.
Yeah, they had a corner blitz on, and Holmes was going to try and run the slant, and his corner right on him, McDonald, takes off and goes right in front. He's right in the throwing lane. That's a corner blitz that almost worked perfectly. McDonald, I love the way the young corners play, Wright and McDonald. They love to compete, and they really believe they can do it. And it's fun to watch, and that play right there is a perfect example.
3rd down and 13 at the 45. Here comes the blitz. To the sideline. Whoa, that is incomplete. As Leftwich threw a dart just a little bit low, intended for Holmes. And the Steelers have to punt.
Yeah, you'll see when Leftwich throws, and one of the things that's always been a problem is his slow release. When he decides to throw it, it takes him too long to get rid of it, and this ball comes out, and it's just low. Holmes goes down after it. I don't know, and it rolls around in his grasp. Just watch, when he decides to throw, he steps inside the pressure. Now he decides, and big wind up and a big heave out there. And that's been a criticism of his since he was drafted.
Berger from the 42. And Cribbs back deep, lets it go over his head and into the end zone. But there is a flag on the far side at the 45. Maybe a...
Offside defense. That 5-yard penalty will be added to the end of the kick at the 20-yard line. 1st down.
So 9:09 to play, 3rd quarter. Pittsburgh with the 14-0 lead. Browns will try to get something going on offense after this.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. Sprint. Get NFL Mobile Live only from Sprint, only on the Now Network. And by The Fit, new from Honda. The Fit is go.
Welcome back. The Steelers will re-punt the football after the penalty. And now Berger will stand at the 46-yard line, his own 46. Cribbs back deep inside his own 10. He pops it in the air, wobbly kick. Cribbs lets it go over his head, and it goes into the end zone again. So a 40-yard punt, a net of only 20 yards. TV's classic word game is back with a modern twist. Play along with $1 Million Password tonight on CBS, America's most watched network. That's a cool show. Have you ever seen that?
I have not seen it.
It's a lot of fun to watch when the celebrities come, and especially if the celebrity has to kind of guess the word.
You got to get on that show, man.
I'd like to get on there. That would be fun to play. First down and 10 at the 20. Jamal Lewis with a good running day, 60 yards. And here's Gradkowski in trouble, scrambling. And he is out of bounds at the 23. Aaron Smith giving chase.
Yeah, he stepped out of the rush of Lamar Woodley as he kind of come in. Woodley's a nice spin move, gets inside, and then misses him. And right there, I thought Gradkowski was going to try and get rid of it. He decides to hang on to it. I think the coaching staff of the Browns have done a nice job of telling Gradkowski, listen, if you scramble, don't take any chances throwing the ball back across the middle or anything. Just take it, get what you can get, and come back on the next down.
Jamal Lewis running. And Lewis goes nowhere. He may have lost yardage on that play. Larry Foote plugging up the hole.
And I'll tell you, Jamal Lewis, I don't know that he's going to get his 1,000 yards for the season, but there's no question he's put in enough work to deserve 2,000.
Yes.
I mean, with 4 quarterbacks in front of him trying to carry the offense by himself, that's a long, long, difficult season for a running back to go through, and he has not complained. He has worked hard and run the ball hard every chance he's gotten.
Third down and 7 at the 23. Harrison is checked in. Fans getting into it. Gradkowski, and he is hit, intercepted. Carter, and Tyrone Carter advances it 18 yards. Awesome pressure being put on the Browns by that Steeler defense.
Yeah, Bryant McFadden came in and made the pressure on Gradkowski, and it got there so fast. It was delayed blitz. Watch, you'll see him come in right there and just get up in his face and knock the ball away. That's where the interception came from. You see, he came in behind the 2 linebackers, and there was nobody left to pick him up. And that ball was a wounded duck flying up into the secondary, and somebody's going to come down with it.
So Ty Carter gives the Steelers excellent field position. At the Cleveland 12, Willie Parker running, breaks a tackle outside and finally goes down at the 7. Poole managed to stop him, but another solid run by Parker as he picks up 5 yards on the play.
Yeah, as you see Gradkowski talking over with Bartell. Now, Bartell is, for those people in Cleveland who don't know, is the backup quarterback this week. He was signed on Tuesday. And that's about all you need to know about how likely it is for him to get in the game.
Second down and 5 at the 7-yard line. Willie Parker, the single setback. Parker over the right side, breaks a tackle, and is finally taken down. Sean Jones, the safety, bringing him to the field.
Yeah, they've been running a lot off the offensive right side in this second half, a lot. And they're trying to go, they're kind of going right towards McGinnis, and they're trying to kind of go towards him but miss him. They're giving him the opportunity to move around, get up the field, and then come underneath him. And there's nobody on the inside. They're trying to seal Sean Rogers off on the inside and doing an okay job about it, finding a little bit of room on the right side.
Mewelde Moore checks in. Now he's in motion out of the backfield. Empty backfield for Leftwich. Underneath Holmes. Nice catch, but they get on him quickly. Sorensen and McDonald. And he gains 4 yards on the play.
And they'll try the field goal going this way, and that's it's a nice drive by Pittsburgh. And a very efficient drive by Byron Leftwich.
You got 18 seconds.
So that's Jeff Reed coming in. He's made 49 of his last 55 attempts over the past 2 seasons. Missed only 6. This will be from 22 yards away. 26 of 30 this season. Up and good. 5:35 to play, third quarter. Steelers take a 17-0 lead over the Browns.
Gus, the defense for the Steelers is on fire.
Very hot.
Stay back. They are, man. They are really playing well. Didn't have James Harrison in today. An MVP, defensive MVP candidate, and they have not missed a beat.
Harrison with a hip pointer. So the Steelers pop this one in the air, and the Browns will start from their own 30-yard line. Brad Cieslak returning it for Cleveland, stopped by Anthony Madison. Back to Pittsburgh right after this.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Burger King, who reminds you to have it your way. And by Acura. Visit shopacura.com during the Drive Home for the Holidays event. Acura, advanced.
And welcome back. 17-0. Steelers with the lead over the Browns. Jamal Lewis remains in the game for the Browns. One of the bright spots, one of the only bright spots for this team this afternoon. First down and 10 at the 30. Here's Lewis running. And Jamal gets to the 34 before being knocked backwards, and he gains close to 5 yards on the play. Chris Hope with the tackle, but the defense has been excellent today for Pittsburgh.
And the running defense, they've allowed only 92 total yards before that last play. They're getting big pressure. I spoke to Dick LeBeau, Gus, during the week, and he said, we don't know how this game's going to go because we don't know how the Browns are going to handle Gradkowski and what they're going to do. So we're going to have to watch them and then devise our formula as the game progresses, and they've done an excellent job of it.
And Lewis running it again. The Steelers have allowed 29 points in the third quarter this season, fewest allowed in the NFL. As Lamar Woodley comes up with the tackle. And Woodley, another young player, just doing such a fine job in his second season out of Michigan. 11.5 sacks this year.
I'll tell you, you have to, once again, this season, tip your hat to Dick LeBeau, who he's got as much experience in the National Football League as anybody you'll ever meet. And he's a guy who has been on the defensive side of the ball virtually his entire career. He is an encyclopedia of knowledge and experience and he puts all of it to work for the Steelers.
Cribbs will throw it this time, and it's caught. It is caught, and that's a first down. Martin Rucker holds on this time. The rookie out of Missouri gains 8 yards, and the Browns pick up a first down.
I talked to Rob Jacinski, the Cleveland Browns offensive coordinator. He said that Cribbs, he's listed as a wide receiver and a kick return. He really doesn't have a position. He was a college quarterback. He's a great athlete, a great special teams player, a great football player. And the Browns, to their credit, have found many, many different ways to use him this season to try and help out an offense that's been struggling.
First down and 10 at the 44. Jamal Lewis again. And Lewis gets to the 45. Lamar Woodley stopping him after a 1-yard gain. So let's take a look back. Kent State. Josh Cribbs played QB from 01 through 04. He set a school record with 7,169 passing yards. Threw for 45 touchdowns. And rushed for a MAC record 3,670 yards.
He is a great football player. I don't want to put a position on like a great wide receiver. He's just a great football player.
Second down and 9 at the 45. That one deflected at the line of scrimmage again. Wow. The Steelers getting hands in the passing lane. Orpheus Roy that time. Former Brown.
Yeah, you'll see they just do such a nice job. They're so aware all the time. If they don't get penetration, they don't look at the guy. They almost don't look at the guy they're rushing against. They look at the quarterback all the time. That's great coaching. I mean, you just tell your guys to play the quarterback on the pass rush, not so much the guy they're at, and let your instincts handle the guy in front of you. And it's, you know, they keep their eyes in the backfield and they bat down a lot of balls because of it. They get a lot of sacks because of it.
3rd down and 9 at the 45. Browns are 3 of 9 on 3rd down conversions. Here comes the blitz and a flag prior to the snap.
Oh, you call it,
Play
Gus.
a game. Number 7 of the offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
All right, coming up next, the AFC playoff picture comes into focus with a pair of key games. Miami at the Jets and Jacksonville at Baltimore. Check your local listings.
There is a long, sordid story to go with this AFC playoff picture. Miami and the Jets, their game depends on how New England does in Buffalo as to the significance of it.
Browns running it again, this time Harrison, Kursky with the tackle.
Now, how about the job that the AFC coaches around the league have done? Coaches all over the league have done for Coach of the Year. You know, there's a lot of teams that are in the playoffs doing well. Mike Tomlin, you know, a guy like Mike Tomlin's going to win his 2nd consecutive division title. Not even going to get a whiff of Coach of the Year.
I know he won't.
He's done a great job.
Jeff Fisher, a candidate, as this one is sent away. Holmes back deep. Starts from the 10-yard line. Tries to get outside and will not. And he's brought down at the 11. Some nice looking play by Cameron Wembley. 49-yard punt. A 1-yard return, and there is a flag on the play.
As you can see there,
So
offsides against the Steelers.
Offside. Defense. Number 55. Line up in the zone. And penalties decline. 1st down.
Patrick Bailey is 55. 2:04 to play, 3rd quarter. Back to Pittsburgh after this. Welcome back, fans. Awfully happy here in Pittsburgh. The Steelers with a 17-0 lead. Byron Leftwich in at quarterback for Ben Roethlisberger. 1st down and 10, and this is Willie Parker running. And Parker crosses the 15, gets to the 17-yard line. If you weren't with us earlier, Ben Roethlisberger went out of the game with 1 minute and 48 seconds remaining in the 2nd quarter. He was taken off the field on a stretcher, and he gave us the thumbs up as he headed off the field, and he has been diagnosed with a concussion. So Leftwich is now the quarterback, and because the Steelers have a bye for the 1st round of the playoffs, they could be in pretty good shape and get their starting quarterback back.
Yeah, they could, and that's huge and it works out perfectly for them. Although great teams make their own breaks, even down to the fact that they've got a good backup quarterback if indeed Roethlisberger cannot go.
Hines Ward with the reception, and Hines Ward gets to the 25 before being stopped. Big game, Buffalo and New England. Here's James Brown in New York.
Hey, Gus and Steve. Lamont Jordan getting it done after a Buffalo fumble by Trent Edwards. Jordan makes him pay with that 2-yard run, capping an 11-play, 43-yard drive. New England up 13-0. They clinch a playoff spot with a win and some help. And you see it right there. Back to Gus and Steve.
All right, they need a win and a Miami or Baltimore loss. 1st down and 10 at the 24. Miami taking on the Jets. Baltimore, the Jacksonville Jaguars at home. This is Mewelde Moore. And Mewelde Moore with a nice piece of running, stopped by Lewis Leonard, but he gains 9 yards on the play.
Yeah, that'll take them to the end of the quarters. You see the Steelers coming out, grinding it out on the ground, and that's, you know, this is the kind of game where the Steelers right now are thinking about the bye week. With this kind of lead going into the fourth quarter against an offense like Cleveland has put out, they're done.
And that's the end of the third quarter. 17-0 Pittsburgh. Will return after this message and a word from your local station. Well, the Cleveland Browns set a record, one that I'm sure they're not very proud of. 23 quarters without an offensive touchdown, which is now an NFL record, as they break the record of the 1974 Chicago Bears, who went 22 consecutive quarters without a touchdown, an offensive touchdown. Steelers with the football, 2nd down and 1 at the 33. Willie Parker, and he picks up the first down and more. Parker down the sideline, and Willie Parker out of bounds. A flag on the play late. Sean Jones knocks him out of bounds, but it's a gain of 24 yards if it stands.
Yeah, this is going to be a hold on Swede.
Holding number 14 in the offense. 10-yard penalty. And will still result in a first down.
You see, right as you see there, he's holding him. Hey, you can't miss it. I mean, as Parker goes to the outside, I mean, he's got him horse collar. I don't know how you can even not miss. I'm surprised there was only one flag that flew in there on this, right at the point of attack and right in the face of all the officials facing it. I mean, that's a second hold the Swede has had today.
Parker, 21 carries, 114 yards. Running it again, this time right. And that reminds me of a story that we heard. Remember, we heard the story earlier this year talking about young Limas Swede. We heard the story about how he was in a meeting earlier this season with the great Hines Ward. The coach was talking and he was giving some points, and then all of a sudden in the middle of the meeting, Hines Ward said, "Hold on, coach." He went over to Limas. He said, "Hey, man, write that down." You better write everything that this coach has to say, because you're not going to get on the field with me and get me killed.
That's right. It's great players, Gus. As you see that play right there by Wembley. Great teams have a culture, and it's made by great players commanding and demanding that young players step up. Hines Ward, that's why a great player is a great player. It's not because of their ability or not even their work ethic. Great players, Gus, make other players on their team great. And that's why Hines Ward and the rest of the Pittsburgh Steelers and the guys on the other side of the ball as well, the defenders, this team's great because they have great players who make other guys better.
3rd down and 13 at the 42. Hines Ward going over 1,000 yards in this game. Leftwich looking. Nice throw. At the 45-yard line, Nate Washington, and he is close to the first down. Looks like he has it on 3rd and 13. They get 13.
They certainly do. He's working there against Eric Wright. Got his eyes in the backfield, and just a stop and a juke out, pivot out. He goes past the line, comes back to the line to scrimmage the ground, and Adams gets a shot on Leftwich, but not before he makes a really nice throw deep to the out route. And I'll tell you, Gus, you don't want to lose another quarterback if you're a Steeler.
1st down and 10 at the 45. And this is Moore. And Melody Moore gets down at the 39. The backup quarterback for the Steelers, Dennis Dixon, rookie out of Oregon, 5th-round pick. The 3rd quarterback today behind Roethlisberger and Byron Leftwich. But Leftwich getting the opportunity as you take a look at Coach Tomlin.
Yeah, it's all smiles on their sidelines as they feel, and rightfully so, they've got this game in hand with a 17-point lead, 12 minutes to go. And that's the only time of the week, Gus, when there's no stress.
Moore again, skipping through the hole, breaks it outside, now spins, goes down. Brandon McDonald with the tackle, but it's a gain of 11. Every week, more and more people are discovering why the Big Bang Theory is one of the funniest shows on TV. See for yourself tomorrow on CBS, America's Most Watched Network. Welde Moore coming off the field, and he's not done a nice job rushing. 4 carries for 23 yards.
Yeah, he talked to Mike Tomlin about this. He said ideally we'd love to rest guys, you know, coming out of this game, in and out of this game, but the fact of the matter is it's not going to happen. We have a bye week anyway, so he felt good about playing his guys and giving them the week off to rest.
Willie Parker, and Parker's confidence soaring in this game, going over 100 yards, picks up 4 there. And I understand what he's talking about, because quite often you see teams at the end of the season when they have things wrapped up, and you mentioned the Indianapolis Colts a few years ago with 3 or 4 games left. They had it sewn up. They went into the playoffs and got bumped in the second round.
Yeah, I mean, it's the second round, because they didn't even have a first-round game, so they went like a month without having a meaningful game, and it cost them advancement in the playoffs because of it. So I think it's better for teams to fight and scratch to get into the playoffs, because then they're ready to play again.
Hines Ward, one-on-one, makes the first man miss. Second, third, Hines Ward still on his feet. Hines Ward down inside the 5. Poole with the saving tackle, but he gets up bubbling.
He wanted to score, Gus. We just mentioned it a minute ago. Yeah, great players are great no matter what happens in the game. Hines Ward is great because he doesn't stop. He plays hard all the time. He expects great things from his teammates. He'll put it all on the line no matter what situation is in the game. And every guy on their offense, defense, and special teams, they have to match that. The whole team is better because of it.
And they run it. Touchdown, Pittsburgh. Gary Russell. Made Hines Ward making that play possible with the big reception. And with 9:41 to play, the Steelers take a 23-0 lead.
And this is just a nice run up inside. There's nothing fancy about it. Kemoeatu comes around and makes a nice block on the trap and pins the guy inside, lets the runner go outside. And that was just well blocked up front. Just well blocked.
And the extra point is up and good. 12-play drive covering 88 yards. Steelers ate up 7:23. Hines Ward, one of the NFL's best, making plays. Tomorrow on CBS, David Caruso leads the hottest crime scene on television. Hottest crime team, on television. Don't miss CSI Miami tomorrow on CBS, America's most watched network. 9:41 to play, 4th quarter. Pittsburgh up 24-0.
Yeah, with a 24-0 lead, you think, well, now they're going to start resting their guys. I don't think Willie Parker will come back in. Palomalu may take a little seat. I think, you know, it's interesting, and I think Hines Ward may get back in the game offensively, because in one catch, he'll get 800 in his career.
Yes, 799 right now. Hines Ward with 5 catches today for 67 yards. He went over the 1,000-yard mark in this game for the season. Joshua Cribbs back deep, and he will take a knee. So coming up, the Browns at the 20-yard line right after this.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by BlackBerry. McDonald's, I'm loving it. And by Toyota, moving forward.
Welcome back to Pittsburgh, where these fans are getting ready for the playoffs. 9:41 to go. Steelers on top of the Browns, their rivals, 24-0. And although this game means nothing, it means everything for the Steelers as they go after their 12th win. Here's a handoff. Jamal Lewis Lewis trying to close in on 1,000 yards as he gets over the 30 up to the 34. A gain of 13. Ike Taylor with the tackle.
Yeah, and they used Josh Cribbs as a decoy this time, give it to Jamal Lewis, and he continues to run hard, but there's no team and no city really in the NFL that appreciates its defense like Pittsburgh does. It's part of its heritage, part of the DNA of the organization, and they love to see their defense play as much as an explosive offense.
The reverse, Josh Cribbs wants to throw it, does, and it's incomplete. Josh Cribbs being chased by Larry Foote as Cribbs gets up slowly.
And Cribbs showing a little bit of his quarterback experience. He threw that one into the dirt. He's trying to find Braylon Edwards. That play was designed for him at the top of the screen, and he was double covered at the top. As you'll see him come out, Braylon Edwards is double covered. He just throws this one right into the dirt.
Meanwhile, Jamal Lewis needs 11 yards for 1,000 on the season. He has 81 yards rushing today. Second down and 10 at the 33. Gradkowski. And picked off! Taylor, make that Carter. Touchdown! Tyrone Carter. A 32-yard touchdown. And the Steelers take a 30-0 lead.
Gradkowski tried to get it to Jamal Lewis late, and it went right through Lewis's hands. Right into the hands of Carter, and he's just going to walk in. And this game got out of hand in a hurry right there. I mean, it was a close to the vest, well-played game until the Steelers started to get some turnovers and some big plays. And even without Ben Roethlisberger, they're running it up.
Tyrone Carter with 2 interceptions today. That one for a touchdown, and the Steelers go up 31-0. So Jeff Reed will kick this one right into your living room. Josh Cribbs will not bring it out. Back-to-back touchbacks for Jeff Reed. Coming next, the AFC playoff picture comes into focus with a pair of key games. Miami at the Jets or Jacksonville at Baltimore. Check your local listings. So New England has defeated the Buffalo Bills. They're the new leader in the AFC East at 11-5. Miami and the Jets right after this one. And Baltimore and Jacksonville right after this one also in Baltimore.
And the way that Miami New York Jet game finished, if Miami wins, they win. If the Jets win, New England wins the division.
Mike Tomlin, though, knows that he's the number 2 seed. He's just worried about his quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the U.S. Department of Transportation, Over the Limit, Under Arrest, and by State Farm, proud sponsor of the NFL and the best day of the week.
Yes.
No love lost between these two cities. Hey, Cleveland, season's beatings. Well, it's been a rough year for Romeo Crennel and the Cleveland Browns organization, especially coming off such a positive season last year as Gradkowski stumbles, dropping back. Chris Hoke will be credited with a sack, first of the day.
Yeah, he got stepped on by Hadnot, the right guard.
So a 3-yard loss makes it 2nd down and 13.
Look at that. 4 for 12 for 20 yards and a couple of interceptions. A 2-point. I've never seen a lower rating than that actually registered above 0.
Jamal Lewis needs 11 yards for 1,000. And they give it to him. Lewis over the 20. Fumbled. And the Steelers say they have the football. That is not the case. Cleveland will hold on. Tyrone Carter with a nice hit on the play. Carter has been all over the field this afternoon.
Watch as Lewis comes up inside. There's a nice hit by Carter. Nice squares his shoulders up, and that ball is out. There's no question about it. It was a fumble. Oh, it looks like a Steeler had his hands on it, just couldn't pull it in.
Kursky had his hands on it. 3rd down and 10. And this time it's Harrison on a screen pass that goes nowhere, and that's a loss of 2 on the play.
Gus, I'll tell you, you watch this Pittsburgh Steelers defense play, and they've got a reputation for being very physical, very nasty, very much of an attitude defense, but you underestimate how fast they are. They rally to the football so fast and cover so much ground in the secondary. What looks like a short pass that's going to be complete for a good gain ends up being nothing because of the speed they have to close.
So the Browns punt it away. Holmes is back deep. Backpedaling, he will drop it and cover it up inside the 30. A 48-yard punt. So December 31st, CBS Sports jumps into the bowl season as the Oregon State Beavers battle, guess who? The Pittsburgh Panthers in the Root Sun Bowl.
As I said earlier, Gus, the only time of the week when the stress is off is when the game is in hand late in the 4th quarter and you know you've got it won. You don't have to think about the next game. You don't have to worry about injuries or whatever. And there you see now it's gotten to the point where Dennis Dixon is actually in the game for the Steelers, and you know it's going well for him when that's the case.
Rookie out of Oregon. Very elusive player.
False start. Number 68, the offense. 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
You saw that when that happens, he goes up to Dixon, comes up, and it was his voice that caused the offsides.
Rookie Dennis Dixon suffered a pair of knee injuries last year at the University of Oregon. Dixon first injured his left knee against Arizona State, then came back to play 2 weeks later against Arizona, where he tore his ACL, ending his season. He's got nice size, 6'3", skinny guy, 195 pounds. But he is a prospect.
Delay of gain, offense, number 2.
Well,
5-yard penalty, still 1st down.
he's not getting off to a great start, I'll tell you that.
So let's take a look back at what has taken place. This is the first half, 1 minute and 48 remaining. Ben Roethlisberger took this hit, and then this one was the finisher from Willie McGinnis and D'Qwell Jackson as they throw it to Hines Ward, and that is a record-setting catch for Hines Ward. 800 career receptions, most in Steelers history. Hines Ward will smile as usual, trot off the field with that football. His day done. Hines Ward, 800 career receptions, most all time for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And I'll tell you, Gus, I don't care what team you play for, even if you don't, if you're not a football fan, let me just tell you, 800 catches is an awful lot of catches in the NFL. It is a great career number.
And this time it's Russell running. That's a 2-yard pickup.
And I'll tell you too, Gus, Hines Ward has played for an awfully good football team his entire career, and he's been a big part of the reason why they've been successful. You know, so much time the defense gets a huge boost for being that tone setter. They're a very physical defense, but he plays wide receiver as physical as anybody in the NFL. And now, even after catching his 800th catch in a 31-0 game, comes back on the field. And You can't say enough about the guy.
Heinz Field. That's a great one. Third down and 14 to the 25. Here's a draw play, and it's Davis. And Davis crosses 35, picks up 12 yards. McGinnis with the tackle, along with Sorensen.
You get the feeling now, Gus, even for the Cleveland Browns, they can't wait for this game to be over. It's a season they would love to say goodbye to.
So Mitch Berger will punt it away. Standing at the 22. Josh Cribbs back deep, line drive. Cribbs will get an opportunity to return it from the 15. And Cribbs tripped up and taken down at the 20-yard line. Lawrence Timmons, nice job on special teams. 49-yard punt, 6-yard return. New Year's Day, it's college football bowl season as the Nebraska Cornhuskers face the Clemson Tigers in the Conaca Minolta Gator Bowl. Right here on CBS. Hines Ward all smiles on that sideline. It's been a day of records for him. Another 1,000-yard season, 800 catches. And the Browns run it. This time it's Jamal Lewis. And he'll gain about a yard on the play. Timmons with the stop.
Romeo Cornell sees the clock winding down. You really have to wonder if there's any way at all that he'll be the head coach of the Cleveland Browns on Tuesday. I mean, this is a list of the guys that are on the hot seat around the National Football League, and the thing they all have in common is the record, except for Eric Mangini, who had expectations to deal with coming into this season.
Jamal Lewis again. And Lewis goes nowhere. Andre Frazier with the tackle. But I tell you what, Romeo Cornell has always been a good man, a nice person, and he's been very accommodating with us as media people, a gentleman. And it's unfortunate that things didn't work out for him.
He is not.
As a head coach.
He's not on the hot seat because he's a jerk. You know, he's a good, solid, honest, dependable, hard-working guy who has players that love him, and an organization who's well liked by as well. So, you know, it comes down to the fact, Gus, that it comes down to numbers. What his record was or is coming in and out of this season, and the direction that the club is perceived to be headed. He'll have a 24-40 record after today's game, after 5 years as head coach, and getting beat in the final game this year, what looks like to be 31-0.
And the Browns are going to go for it. Jamal Lewis needs 2 yards for 1,000. And they give it to him. And he may have gotten it. And that should take us to the 2-minute warning. And it's a first down also for the Cleveland Browns. So Jamal Lewis, 1,000 yards as he comes off the field. He's played very well this season. And congratulations to Jamal. Takes us to the 2-minute warning. 31-0 Pittsburgh. Welcome back. 2 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. Pittsburgh leading it 31-0. Browns have never been shut out in 2 consecutive games in the history of the franchise. Here's Gronkowski, and he's sacked. Andre Frazier gets him. Second sack of the day for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So as this one gets ready to end, as we take another look, what are your thoughts, Steve, on the playoff race? Well, the playoff picture, rather, in the AFC.
Well, there's a couple of teams that are coming in very hot. The Steelers are one of them. You can forget about that Tennessee game last week. I think that Tennessee is a team, even though they lost 31-14, Tennessee's a team the Pittsburgh Steelers think they can beat. And Indianapolis has won 8 in a row.
So who are you picking?
I might pick this team right here, this Pittsburgh team.
Defense.
Yeah, it travels. It travels well, and their offense is going to be good enough. And what do you think? Who do you like?
I'm going with Indy. I think the Colts.
You're a front runner.
I'm a front runner. That's my man right there, my partner. Calling me a front runner. I like the Colts.
Yeah, well,
I like offense over defense.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're down at 14 at the 28. And here's Radkowski, complete. Who do you like in the NFC?
Well, I like the Giants. I mean, they're the champions, and they're playing like it. They've played solid all year. They laid an egg against this Cleveland team early in the season, but they're also a team that can run the football. When that Giants team is healthy, man, oh man, they're a steamroller, and I like that. And that goes a long way, particularly when everybody's going to have to go through the Meadowlands to get to the Super Bowl.
Very good point. 4th down and 14 at the 28 for the Browns. Radkowski rolling, throws, incomplete, and that will do it. The Pittsburgh Steelers will improve their record to 12-4. Ben Roethlisberger will have a week to heal, 2 weeks to heal from the concussion. Byron Leftwich got some valuable experience just in case. And congratulations to Coach Mike Tomlin. Another fine job, back-to-back division titles for this young coach, this young and very talented coach, but we'll see what his team does in the playoffs. That's when the real season begins.
No question about it, and they're poised to make a great playoff run. They're going to get their first game of the divisional round here in Heinz Field. And they're going to be facing a team that, whoever it is going to be up against the best defense, or the defense that's had the best year of any defense in the league, in my opinion.
And you know what? One thing I'd like to say is, partner, you had a great year.
Oh,
congratulations, and it's been an honor and a pleasure to stand by you and call games in the NFL once again. I'd also like to say thank you to our producer, Victor Frank, our great director, Mark Grant, Dollar Bill as well, and our entire crew, Doc. It's been a great season, and here come the playoffs. Steelers look good. Hopefully they will get Big Ben Roethlisberger back healthy and have a long run in the postseason. Stay tuned for game 2 of our doubleheader. Miami at the Jets or Jacksonville at Baltimore. For Steve Tasker, this is Gus Johnson saying so long from Pittsburgh. You've been watching the National Football League on CBS. Coming up, it's the Burger King Update. We'll take you to New York for all of the scores and highlights right after this.